Netflix, the OG reliable streaming service that has just managed to integrate itself into my monthly routine that often gets pushed to the back of the bus. It's like that really nice old friend that you've had that doesn't really want anything from you, just wants to spend time with you. In this world of always growing streaming services and my continued love of physical media, I almost always overlook Netflix. So I thought it was time that we got reacquainted. I picked up my remote, pressed that little red button, and there he was. Netflix. It was time for a long overdue Netflix fix. Say that 3 or 4 times real fast. So the first movie that I watched was a 2017 David Bruckner film called The Ritual. This movie was about, it begins with 5 friends sitting in a bar discussing what their next big adventure is going to be. One of them says that he wants to go hiking in Switzerland. So after they leave the bar, they're on their way home, that conversation continues, and one of the 5 friends says he wants to stop in this liquor store to get a bottle. All of them give him a bit of a hard time, saying that, I think they said we have school tomorrow or it's a school day, something along those lines. And he manages to talk the guy who wanted to go to Switzerland to hike into going into the liquor store with him while he grabs his bottle. While they're in there, they're just having a little bit more friendly banter, and all of a sudden, one of them realizes that the cashier is sitting on the floor leaning against the wall with her face all beaten up. And as soon as they realize that she's there, another door opens with another guy who works at the liquor store being bullied and threatened by 2 people who are here robbing the joint. One of the guys in our group manages to hide behind the liquor shelves, and the one friend that we had that wants to go to Switzerland is standing out there and is confronted by the people who are robbing the store. They ask him for his wallet, or they demand his wallet. He gives them the wallet, then they demand a watch, he gives them the watch, then it comes to his wedding ring, and he won't give it to him. So being as though he puts up a little bit of, he puts up a fight over his wedding ring, one of the 2 thugs hits him in the face with a lead pipe. He goes down, and then you see that he makes eye contact with his friend who's hiding behind the end cap of liquor bottles. As soon as they make eye contact with each other, the dude hits him in the head with the pipe again, and you see him suddenly bleed out. It's actually pretty heartbreaking. Flash forward 6 months, I believe they said it was 6 months, and you see the friend that was in the liquor store with the guy who wanted to go to Switzerland coming out of a tent in a big, beautiful open field. He's in Switzerland with the remaining 3 friends, himself and 3 others. They have gone to Switzerland and gone hiking, as that was what their now deceased friend wanted to do on their next adventure. They go out there and they do like a little memorial service for the friend that died, and then they find themselves lost in the woods. They come across some animal hanging up in a tree that looks like there's like no way in the world that somebody could have put this large animal up in a tree. And then they start seeing carvings on trees. They come across the house and they go in there and they find some goofy Wicker Man looking thing on the 2nd floor. And things just take a turn for the worst. And I'll leave it at that. This movie was actually really good. I enjoyed it. It had a very Blair Witchy feeling to it to me. I don't think that there's any way in the world that this movie was made or written without the Blair Witch Project in mind. It's definitely not the same thing as the Blair Witch Project, but there's no way in the world that that what was his name? David Bruckner? There's no way that David Bruckner didn't have the Blair Witch Project in mind when he made this movie. Another thing another element to this was kind of Cloverfield-ish, whereas you only get very brief glimpses of whatever it is that's living in these woods until you get to the end of the movie. And even when you see the creature at the end of the movie, well, there's a spoiler, there's a creature in the movie. When you get to the end of the movie and you see the creature, you really still don't see a whole lot of them. I thought this movie was pretty good. It kind of caught me off guard because towards the beginning of the movie, you kind of got a sense that it was going to have a British humor in it. It gave that kind of quirky, I don't know. Like I don't even know how to put it, but you got the feeling that there were going to be jokes involved in this movie. At least I did, anyway. And there definitely was not. This was a very serious movie. And after the first couple of minutes of this movie, the jokes are gone. There's no more joking in this movie, and it gets pretty real pretty fast. So I thought this movie was really, really good, and I would suggest that you watch it if you haven't. It's been out since 2017, so chances are you've seen this. The next film I watched was Mick G's 2017 film called The Babysitter. Mick G. It sounds like the guy couldn't come up with a good name for himself. This movie was also pretty good. It's not the typical type of movie that I like to watch. This was exactly what it says it is. It's about a babysitter and the kid that she's babysitting. This kid seems to be completely infatuated with his babysitter. She seems like an absolute sweetheart. It's very clear that she has very strong feelings for this kid too. They're extremely close, and they're genuinely friends. They're not just babysitter and babysitty. I don't even know what that would be. The babysitted. Whatever. It's very obvious that they have a very strong relationship. There's a bond there, and they are definitely friends. One weekend, the parents of this boy have the babysitter come over. They're going to go away for the weekend. After they go away, the babysitter comes over, and eventually, that night, I think it's the first night that they're gone, correct me if I'm wrong, she invites a bunch of friends over. And after she invites the bunch of friends over, it's her and like 3 or 4 other friends are in this house with this kid. The kid is interested in what's going on downstairs after he has gone to bed for the night, and you see him watching through the railing or looking downstairs, and one of the people that she invited over was like this real nerdy kid. And you almost immediately, after you see all these friends together, you start wondering, I remember the nerdy kid. Why is the nerdy kid hanging out with the cool kids? But anyway, the main babysitter is, what's that for? The main babysitter is kind of hanging around with that nerdy kid, kind of getting a little nasty with him, and suddenly she kills him, and the kid that she's babysitting watches this happen. It's pretty funny, actually. So after she kills him, needless to say, this movie takes a very drastic turn. The whole feel of the movie, it changes very quickly. There's still like the comedy element in the movie, which obviously was by design. I know there's a sequel to this movie too. I haven't watched that yet. I thought this movie was alright. I wasn't crazy about this movie. The main character in this movie, or the main girl, the babysitter, now I'll use that. Now, the babysitter in this movie, I didn't look and see what her name was. I didn't do a whole lot of homework on any of these movies. The girl who plays the babysitter looks almost like Margot Robbie, or like a mix between Margot Robbie and the chick that was in My Name is Earl. I don't remember what her name is. She looks like her. She was pretty good in this movie. Very cute girl, little tiny thing, and she's about as evil as could be. This film has if you like horror comedies, you would probably like this movie. I don't really care for horror comedies most of the time, and I thought that this was pretty good. The whole movie is basically the relationship between them two, and eventually stuff goes sideways, but you can still tell that there's feelings. He still cares for her, she still cares for him, but now he has the sense of being betrayed. Justifiably so. Pretty good movie. Check it out. I thought it was alright. Next up, I watched a 2019 John Leonetti film called The Silence. When this movie first came out in 2019, I think that I watched either some of or all of this movie, but I'll be totally honest with you, I don't remember it. I don't remember it at all. I mean, I remembered kind of like the general idea of the movie, but I didn't remember any details of the movie, if that makes sense. Which kind of surprised me, because I sat down and watched this last night with my wife, and this movie was really good. I enjoyed it. This is another one though. I didn't do any research on this. The girl who plays the main character, what I would consider to be the main character in this movie, I think she looks like the girl who was in the movie Raw. Everybody last year, a year and a half, 2 years ago, was talking about how hard the movie Raw was to watch. I watched it, and I didn't think that it was. That doesn't matter. I'm not talking about that movie here. But if you've seen Raw, this girl looks like the girl that was in that. I'm not sure, but I think it's her. This movie is very reminiscent of A Quiet Place, where there are creatures killing humans and they are blind and they are attracted to sound. So you have to remain silent. Hence the name, The Silence. This was good. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was very well acted, very well written. The creatures were kind of awesome. They looked like something that belonged in Silent Hill, to be totally honest with you. So this movie starts out, it's just a mother, a father, a daughter, a son, and the mother's mother, so the grandmother. They're in a house. They have a friend. I forget what his name is. He's the father's lifelong friend since high school. They're all in the house, and they start seeing that something crazy is going on the news, like New York City and maybe Philadelphia are being overrun by something, but they don't even know what it is. And they decide that it would be in their best interest to make a break for it, to get the hell out of there. At this point, they don't know what it is they're running from, and they don't know that these things are blind and have superior hearing. They don't know anything about anything. They just know that they need to get in the car and get the hell out of there. They know nothing more than that. So they're driving, and eventually, again, as things do in horror movies, things go sideways. Few people die, few people live. You get it. You watch horror movies. If you're watching this, I have to assume you watch horror movies. So it plays out like that. This movie, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought this movie was really, really good. Of the three that I watched, this is definitely my favorite. I really enjoyed this a lot. After this, I would say my next favorite was, second favorite, sounds lame. The one that I enjoyed the second most was The Ritual and then The Babysitter. I thought all of these movies were good. They're definitely worth a watch. I don't like comedy horror, but I actually did enjoy The Babysitter. Like I said, there's a sequel out there that I'm sure I'm going to watch. I just haven't watched it yet. So leave me some comments down below. Have you guys watched any of these movies? If you did, what did you think of them? And another thing, how many of you guys are still out there watching a lot of Netflix? Because, like I said, I have it. I've had it forever, and I barely ever watch it. This thing has been literally like integrated into our monthly bills, and I hardly ever watch it, and I'm trying to change that. I have all this streaming stuff that I don't ever take advantage of. I pay for all this stuff every month, and I come down here and I go onto that shelf and pull movies off of it all the time and just never watch the streaming services I have. So let me know down in the comments if you guys do that too. I'm going to get out of here. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really like this video and you've been enjoying my content up to this point, please do me a huge personal favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that bell. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a kick-ass day. And thank you for watching. Later, folks.